Jesteśmy oczywiście w Fabryce Zespołów, bo gdzie żebyśmy mogli być, a z nami jest Ray Wilson. Hi Ray.
Hello, dzień dobry.
Ray ma nową płytę, nazywa się Song for a Friend i będziemy również o nią pytać, ale najpierw zapytamy o zdecydowanie inne sprawy. Ray, you are living in Poland for how many years now?
Uh, eight, 8 years. And when I first came here, I lived 50 meters from where we're sitting right now on the old square.
And how about your Polish lessons? Because 8 years it's a pretty long time.
Yeah, I know. But my Polish is fantastyczny.
I believe so. Do you believe in destiny? Because if you wouldn't carry on a microphone with Genesis a long way ago, you wouldn't sit here and you wouldn't live in Poznań. What is special about Poznań and Poland?
Well, the first question was, do I believe in destiny? Yes, I do actually. I've even written about it in songs in the past. I kind of believe that if you put your mind and your energy into what you really want in your life, and of course you have to put the energy into it as well, then I think if it's a realistic desire, then I think that you can bring opportunities to yourself. I believe that really strongly, and when I was starting out as a musician, as a professional musician, because I've been playing since I was about 13, but I became a professional musician when I was 20 years old, and I remember at the time playing in many bars, every 4 or 5 times a week, working really hard and trying to get a break, trying to become successful. And I remember asking myself many times, is this ever going to happen? And but I think for me that the key is to it's all the work that you do in your life when nothing is happening for you that makes you ready for the opportunities when they come around. And I've had a couple of good opportunities in my life, but I also think that I wouldn't have been given these opportunities had I not been good enough or good at what I do. I think it has to be Genesis wouldn't have called me if they didn't listen to me on a CD with Stiltskin and think, well, that guy's a good singer. So all of the effort that I put in becoming a good singer, if you like, in the many years before that, were the reason why I was given opportunities. So I think you can kind of create your own destiny in a way, to some degree, by putting energy and heart and passion into what you believe, what you love. The second part of your question, how do I like living in Poznan? Well, I think the best answer to that is I'm still here, and I've been here 8 years. So, I think that says everything that you need to know. I don't need to live here. I could live anywhere I want to, but I like to be here. And the city's changed a lot in the time I've been living here. And I think I'd like to see more art going on, but then I would say that regardless of where I was living, But I would like to see more, for Poznan to become more and more like Berlin, to have that kind of spirit, because I think it's possible.
Cool. Did you always did you always know what you like to be and what you like to do in your life as a musician? When Genesis called you up, did you treat it like a chance, or it's just a thing that happened?
Well, I mean, yes. When I first performed the concert, I think I was 13 years old, and I performed. The first time I performed was at school. The school I went to had bands nights 3 times a year, and a lot of the kids put together punk bands and new romantic bands and metal and so on at the time, and I was in 2 or 3 different bands, and the first time I ever sang on stage, it was like I'd found my mission in life. You know, it was like the bolt of light came, like the Blues Brothers movie. It really was like that, and I thought, this is amazing. This is what I want to do, and I was lucky. I think that the school had a great attitude towards music, which was incredibly important, and it still is now for young people to have a school and to have a good music department or a good department for art in general, whether it's music or painting or whatever it is you do. I think it's very, very important. And I had a good school. I came from there. Calvin Harris, the world famous DJ, went to my school as well. So, you know, they produced some good stuff, you know, over the years, and that was very important in my life.
I first saw you on MTV with Stiltskin before you joined Genesis, and do you miss the first original band? Because you know, after many years you reactivated Stiltskin, but only a name survived. The different musicians came in, and what do you think? What happened, or no? What would happen with this band if, if we continue at the time?
I don't know. I mean, I don't miss it. I mean, I don't miss singing with them. I don't miss singing with Genesis. I don't look at life that way. I'm very much focused on where I am now and going forward. I don't regret, or, you know, I don't have these emotions. I think every aspect of life, the good and the bad experiences, are important for you to grow as a person and as an artist. And I've had very good experiences in my life, reaching #1 and singing with Genesis and that type of thing. And I've had bad experiences as well, when everything ends and you're left wondering what to do with your life. And I've made a lot of money, lost a lot of money, made a lot of money again, lost it again, you know, and I've had all of these experiences through the years. And it's all part of life, it's all important. And I think for an artist it's good, it gives you something to say. And you can write about issues because you experience them personally, which I think makes a difference to the depth of an artist in general.
Yeah, and such attitude could build your new albums, because you don't look at the past, but you have some experiences that you can't use now. So let's focus on the new album. It is called Song for a Friend, but actually there are 9 songs and one particular song. Yeah, we would ask about this later. But is it one song gathered in 9 tracks, or is it any special songs on it? A special song like this Song for a Friend?
It's like a little book, basically, and a little book with 10 stories, and every story is based on reality. So, you know, like when you see in a movie, this film is based on a true story. It's very much like that. Every song is based on a true story. I sing about life, about emotions like peace, love, jealousy, hatred, anger, resentment, all of these emotions that we feel in our lives, and I relate them to, on some occasions, specific experiences. For example, the first song on the album is called Old Book on the Shelf, and it's a fictional story of a guy sitting in an old bar in Amsterdam, and with nobody else in the bar, just him and a barman, and he's looking around the bar and he sees that there is a book on the bookshelf. There's only one book on this bookshelf, and he picks it up and starts to read it, and when he reads the book, it's the story of his life in the book, and by reading the story of his life, he begins to understand his life and begins to understand himself or herself. So that's a fictional story, of course, but when I was 30 and when I stopped with Genesis and I started a solo career, I was going through a kind of transitional period in my life, and I read a book called The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho, which I think was the beginning of my new way of thinking as a human being. I started to think about life in a more spiritual way, not religious, but spiritual way, and that was really like a blueprint for me to continue on from the age of 30 till now. It's the kind of path that I've followed. So so that book, that song, Old Book on the Shelf, is a kind of parallel story to the one I've just told you about my own life. So there's situations like that I write about, and as I say, every song has a story, and I want it to. It has to be almost like you're sitting reading a book when you're listening to this, because it's as much about the lyric as it is about the music, and that's why I did it in a more acoustic way, so that the voice was clear, and you could really feel what was being said and what was being sang.
Yeah, but the last chapter of this book isn't your in a common
Personal thing, yeah.
in a personal thing, because it's a Pink Floyd song. So why did you decided to choose this song and to add it to this album? What do you think it makes it like a full story?
Well, it was actually the idea of Uwe Metzler, who plays guitar on the album. He sent me a recording of High Hopes and said, "What do you think about singing this?" So it wasn't something I was. It wasn't me that was responsible for that. But when I read the lyrics to the song and sang it, and of course the message is high hopes. It's a positive message. It felt like a very good way to end the album. And of course I didn't write it, but had I been writing a song as the last song on the album, it would have been a good thing to have written that song because of the message that it carries. So it fitted, and I didn't make a big thing about it. I've made it the last song on the album. I haven't released it as a single. It won't be released as a single. It's just a nice way to end the album, and it's a great song.
Yeah. What is the best song you think it is in a word that you regret you didn't write it on your own?
Well, there's so many that you could say that to. I'm a big fan of a song by, maybe remember the band Frankie Goes to Hollywood from the 80s. I love the song Power of Love. And I that's the song I would like to be played at my funeral.
Yeah. Some people say it's a Christmas song because of the video, but it is not, isn't it?
No, yeah, I mean, of course, the video was a Christmas #1 in the UK,
Yeah.
and but no, it's not. I just think the song and the production is Trevor Horn production, and Trevor Horn was extremely prolific in the 80s with Seal and ABC and what else? Yes, of course. Such a famous producer. And I met Trevor Horn actually a few years ago, which was quite nice. And yeah, and the stuff he produced with Frankie Goes to Hollywood was just outstanding. I mean, it was. I was a teenager at that time, and you heard nothing like that. It was totally. It was like when punk came along or something, or when grunge came along. It was like, wow, what's this? And I know it's, Frankie Goes to Hollywood were effectively a band that predominantly followed by gay people at the time, but they wrote some magnificent songs that crossed the whole spectrum, whether you were a girl, a boy, straight or gay, it didn't matter. Just brilliant songs, brilliant music.
Yeah. On your concert, sometimes you play the songs that you haven't written on your own. You play Genesis stuff, which is obvious, but also Peter Gabriel stuff and Phil Collins stuff, which is obvious too, actually. But I'd like to ask you, what is the difference between singing your own songs, your own lyrics, and the lyrics that was written by someone else, but when you sing it, it appeared to be your song, actually, isn't it?
I mean, that's the important thing, I think, when you do a version of somebody else's song, is making it your own version of that song. Doing something with it that makes it a little bit different or special. And you know, when I was all the way through my teenage years, I was singing cover versions from everybody from AC/DC to the Sex Pistols to Elton John, Billy Joel, and so on and so on. You know, many, many artists, and I sang so many songs over the years as I was learning to become a musician. And I didn't really start writing until my late 20s, not properly. And when I joined Genesis, I wrote a couple albums on their songs on their album, that album, and then even after, it was really after that that I really started to focus on writing. So singing cover versions is for me is great fun, you know. And I would take a song, for example, "Forever Young," which is a Bob Dylan song for those who don't know it, and I always remember singing that song. And it is the most magnificent and poignant lyric in that song that I could never have written that, you know. And it's just because it's on a whole different level what the guy does, what Bob Dylan had created in many different songs. And so performing songs like that, I think is just it's such a blessing, you know. It's so nice to do that. And of course we do a song like, if I do a version of Biko by Peter Gabriel, again, what a magnificent song, you know. It's why shouldn't I sing it, and why shouldn't anybody else sing it? Or Beatles tracks, you know, a lot of bands do songs from the Beatles or the Stones or whatever. Music's music, you know. And I think the important thing with a concert is that you, if you like, cover the bases, you know. I play a concert for probably over 2 hours normally. And so it's a real, you know, you cannot just do the same feel and vibe all the time for 2 hours. It'd be a hell of a boring concert, you know, if that's all you did, I think. And there are some bands that can do that, like Pink Floyd. You know, they can get away with that because that's what they are. But I like a concert to have emotional dynamics, you know. So sometimes you're laughing, then you're crying, then you're maybe feeling angry, and then you're feeling sad, and you're all these emotions coming out. And the nice thing about being able to kind of mix the songs and take a song like Biko or Another Day in Paradise, which are wonderful songs with strong messages, and then play something from my own collection like Inside, the Stillskin track, which is a song about self-belief and determination. You know, totally different emotions come from these songs, and it's, for me, just great fun doing them, you know. It's just the way I've built my career.
You play rather small gigs, like very intimate, when you look straight into the eyes of the viewers.
Yeah.
But you used to play big gigs with Genesis, for instance. And wasn't there any problem for you when you have your audience so far away from you?
Not really. I mean, we still do a lot of bigger shows, you know, mostly in the summertime. You know, like we played with Sting last year in the Svenchim, for example, and Life Festival the year before, sorry. And you know, so we still do a lot of that. But of course, in the autumn and the spring, you're normally in clubs and theatres. You know, that's what my venues are. So you've got a much more intimate atmosphere, which I prefer. I've always preferred it. It's nice doing festivals and stuff, and obviously having this big sea of people. It's a nice experience, and it's good fun hanging out backstage with other artists and stuff. But in terms of performing, for me, certainly with the kind of music that I tend to write, which is a little more thought-provoking and quite personal and quite intimate, then to do that in a small club or a theatre is just the perfect atmosphere. And you can not only can you see the whites of people's eyes, you know, and see their emotion on their face, but you can also, you know, create a really magical sound in a room like that if you've got good equipment, which I have, and you can make it. I can make just the most magical evenings, and not only as from a singing point of view, but with the instrumentalists I work with, and it's a special experience, and I love it more than anything. That intimacy, it would always be my first choice to have a small club where everybody can see you and you can see everybody, and then you're talking to people, talking about life, getting reactions, and it becomes a real event, you know. I like that very much.
Last question. Living for 8 years in Poland now, do you follow the musical scene here in Poland? And do you have, if not, do you have any special and your favorite Polish song that you could name.
My favorite Polish song? No, I don't. I'll be honest with you. I mean, I've performed with many Polish bands over the years, everyone from Gem to Perfect, Burka Suflera, Patricia Markowska. We were with Lux Tapida the other day. Lots and lots of different bands that we've performed with. And there is some great music out there, that's for sure. And some great bands out there. And, I think, like for tomorrow, I'm going to sing with Leszek Moście, and which will be nice because we've never done that before, just a little private thing. We're doing it for a friend, a mutual friend of ours. So yeah, in terms of what Poland has to offer, not only musically but artistically, my girlfriend's a dancer, Gosia is a dancer, and I watched a lot of contemporary dance performances that she's done over the years with Polish Dance Theatre and with Dance Lab, her own company, and a lot of the designers that are around, and a lot of these little businesses that open up with people designing their own clothes, and photographers, some great photographers as well. So there's a lot of talent in Poznan. In terms of do I have a favorite Polish song, it would have to be Dzień dobry, kocham cię, już usmarowałem tobą chleb. That's my favorite Polish song.
Oh, and you missed your guitar today.
Yeah, I'll come and do a gig in your window one time, but I need all my gear's gone to Gdansk, so I'd like to prepare myself and not be half asleep when I'm doing it.
Yeah, cool. So we count on it that we will see, and you all see you at the window.
That's the police.
Yeah, someone's coming. Okay, so the really, really last question. Can you imagine Ray Wilson in 2026?
2026, what are we now? 16. So 10 years from now,
Yeah.
I will be probably a little more grey like my father. I will probably still be playing music, God bless, God willing. And I will hopefully not be in prison.
Yeah. Thanks so much. Ray Wilson, Fabryka Zespołów.